So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. Now in today's video guys, we have some tactics for one of the better wider formations in EAFC 24, this being the 4-3-3 fourth variation. Now a lot of people do actually use this formation and it's because it is so good out on the wings and it's also surprisingly good through the middle. So this formation is a very viable option. So with all that aside guys, let's get right into the tactics. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Okay then guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for the defensive style, we have this on balance. Now the reason we have it on balanced is because it gives you the best control over your defense. So when you want to be aggressive towards your opponent, you can do that. And then when you want to be a little bit more passive and drop back a bit, you can also do that. So balance gives you the control that the other settings do not give you. Now when it comes to applying pressure as well, we don't actually have to use these pressure tactics as you'll see here. We'll get onto that in a moment. So balanced is the way to go here. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, I've actually found lower widths to be better than the wider ones at the moment. Even though people go down the wing all the time for those cutbacks, I've noticed you're much better off at least being compact through the middle to stop those attacks through the middle than just being completely wide open, because if somebody's going to go for those cutbacks, they're going to do it anyway regardless of your width. So it's at least better to be compact and then just get out to the wings when your opponent goes down there, in my opinion. Now moving on to the depth guys, this is what I was on about when it came to the pressure. On the new gen versions of the game, if you have your depth on 71 or higher, you'll get this automatic pressure from the AI. It's very broken, very overpowered, and you don't actually have to do that much. It also overloads the ball side for you, so it's very difficult for your opponent to play through it, and it also breaks your opponent's attacking AI. So this tactic here on the new gen version of the game is very, very strong. I do suggest it, and another good reason to use this is because you don't get a stamina drain like you would if you were to use pressure tactics up here. Now if you're on the old gen version of the game, you can just lower this to depth to 60 because the 71 depth thing is only on new gen. So 71 depth on new gen and 60 on old gen. Now moving on to the build up play guys, I suggest having this on balance. This is because it gives you the most controlled and varied form of build up. So when you use balance, you can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build up. So if you want to play slowly, you can do that, and then if you want to speed it up and play a little bit faster, you can also do that. So balanced allows you to pick and choose when and where you use each form of build up depending on the situation, which is why it's so good. Now moving on to chance creation guys, this one's very important as well. We have this on direct passing. Now the reason we have this on direct passing is because direct passing is the only tactic which will actually work against park the bus defenses. When you use direct passing, your attackers will commit into the box and make this run, and then when the defender follows them, they will track back to give you that passing option. It works very well, very strong. And it also gives your players more dynamic movements, which is why it is so good. So direct passing is an absolute must in my opinion. Moving on to the width guys, I just have this on 49. I don't like having my width crazy high regardless of the formation I'm using, because it just feels like my players are way too spread out from each other, and playing the simplest of passes can actually be really difficult. So I prefer to have a width which is quite balanced with this formation, which is why I just have it on 49 at the moment. For players in box guys, I have this on 7. This is so I can get a lot of players into the box to help me finish off chances. There is a bit of a trade-off with this, however. If you do lose the ball, you are at risk of counter-attack, so do whatever you want with this, but the more players in the box, the most likely you are to score. For corners and free kicks guys, this is a preference thing. I kind of just leave them between like 2 and 3. Does not really matter, so just choose what you want with that. Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but I have noticed around 90% of you that watch the content are not subscribed, so if you are finding any of these videos helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, as it does help me out massively. Also don't forget to drop the video a like as well. And with all that aside guys, let's get back to the video. Now moving on to the player instructions guys, on the striker I just have him on get in behind and stay forward. Now we leave him on balance width because I've noticed recently on this game, if you have your striker on stay central, they can become very static and not really do much. So balanced width means they'll sometimes drift out into the wider areas, which makes it easier to retain possession, especially if this player is a taller player, because they can win headers up against the fullbacks sometimes, so it does just give you more options in attack, in my opinion, at the moment. We also have him on getting behind, so he always looks to make those runs in behind the opposition defence. This is very useful because a lot of the time the opponents will be using this high line with the high depth, meaning getting behind is the best chance you'll have to create a chance a lot of the time. We also have him on stay forward, so we always have an outlet when we win the ball back, especially if you have a taller striker. This stay forward instruction is very good because you can just launch the ball up to them, bypassing the press a lot of the time. Moving on to the wingers, guys, I have them on come back on defence and get in behind. You can also put like one on get in the box for cross and the other one not, or you can have them both on get into the box cross. Does not really matter, but the most important instructions are come back on defence and get in behind. This is so it will make the team defend with 4 in the midfield, which is very, very important because if you look at this team, there is a lot of gaps next to the 2 centre mids, meaning your opponent will have a lot of space to attack you down the wing if you don't cover this space. So just by putting these left winger and right wingers on the come back on defence instruction, they'll come back to defend as a left mid and right mid, filling in that gap, meaning you can defend both the narrow areas and the wide areas. We also have them on getting behind, so they're always looking to utilise their pace and get in behind the opponent's defensive line, which is very effective for creating chances. Get into the box across just means they will commit into the penalty area to help you out as well, but again, this is a preference thing. Now moving on to the cam, guys, we just have him on get into the box across. I don't like to restrict him all that much. I just like to put him on get into the box across so he does not stay too static when we are attacking. Get into the box across means he'll always look for those chances to get into the box and help you out. We leave him alone everywhere else because we don't really want to restrict him. We kind of just want to let him do his own thing. For the left centre mid, guys, my more defensive minded midfielder, I have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. This is because this is the more defensive minded player. We don't want him flying forward, so it's important to have at least one on stay back, and then we have him on cover centre so he does defend those central areas, because if you remember, we have those wingers coming back to cover the wings, so we don't need this player to do that. Now moving on to the right centre mid, guys, I do use a more box-to-box style player. So on this player, I like to leave him on the default settings and then put him on cover centre. We put him on the default settings because, again, this is a more box-to-box player. We don't want to restrict him all that much. We kind of just want to let him do his own thing from attacking to defending. The only important thing is that we have him on cover centre for the same reason as the left centre mid, where he will cover these middle areas because we don't need him to cover the wing. Moving on to the fullbacks, guys, on your more attacking fullback, I have him on balanced attack and inverted at the moment. The reason we have them on inverted as opposed to overlap at the moment is because a lot of the time the wingers in this formation will stay quite wide, so it's actually useful for this fullback to come into more narrow areas to give you a narrow option as well. It gives you more angles to pass and makes it a bit harder for your opponent to defend. If you have your wingers on cut inside, though, for example, you could put your fullback on overlap, so when this player comes narrow, the fullback will go wide, but it's completely up to you, really. For the other fullback, guys, your more defensive one, just have him on stay back while attacking. This is so you can always have at least 3 defenders back at a time to make you as defensively sound as possible. And then for the 2 centre backs, leave them alone, don't touch them. And the keeper, if you want, you can have him on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper, or you can do what I do and just leave him on balanced. But yeah, guys, that is it for the video. If you have enjoyed or found it useful, please be sure to drop it a like. It does really help me out. Sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.